All right, guys. So my name is Jeremy. We're doing a little different style this week. I have Laura Howe. Laura, you tell me a little bit about who you are, just for those that are watching, just to know where you're coming from.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to connect with you and your audience. My name is Laura. I have a background in social work and mental health, and I started Hope Made Strong as out of a passion to serve the local church and ministry leaders in helping them or coming alongside and equipping and training and encouraging pastors on how to care for their community without burning out their volunteer teams and their leaders. And part of the work that I do with that is also hosting the Church Mental Health Summit.
So I know last year was the first one that they did. I got to be a part of that, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. I don't even remember how we initially connected, but it was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting this thing up. Like, let's put it together and kind of run with it. So it was a cool option during COVID and trying to do it online versus in person, which was really, I'm going to be honest, frustrating because whenever you had talked to me was probably the week or the week after I got notified that two other conferences I was going to be in person and like paid room and board and all that stuff canceled, and another one like 3 months before that had gotten canceled. So having it online was great. I guess for me, for those that don't know, you're going to talk about leadership, you're going to talk about mental health. It's going to be for church leaders, though people with lived experience or professional background can also join. What was it that inspired you to like go for this, to talk about it over web, but also like have this conversation that's honestly, I know you focus internationally as opposed to like an American-based focus.
Yeah. So, like I said, in my work, supporting churches in building a care ministry and how they can care for their congregation and their community, I recognize that I can't be an expert at everything. Although I have skills and I have experience and I can offer a lot, I also love to partner and collaborate with the people out there who are doing really amazing work in this area. And so, looking at mental health specifically, last year I really wanted to do like a campaign. Okay, let's talk about that. It's okay to not be okay, and it's
Mhm.
okay to talk about that in church. That doesn't mean you're a sinner or a failure or anything negative. It means that you're a human being and you're struggling. And that idea of a campaign quickly, very quickly, rapidly turned it into a full-blown summit. Within the idea, to have a campaign to the event, it was 8 weeks. And within 8 weeks, we had over 60 speakers, over 2,000 people registered. It was viewed across 45 countries. And it was very overwhelming as someone who, I am Canadian, I live in a small town, I just have a passion to support churches and advocate in this area. And I was like, wow, God, this has become a responsibility. I had no idea that you would move in this way. And so people were like asking, are you going to do this again? What's happening? And yes, we are going to do a church mental health summit. And I'm doing it because there is such a need. People are desperate to hear, how do I care for people in my community that are struggling with mental health? And when as a leader or as a Christian, I'm struggling with my mental health, what does that mean and where can I go for resources? And so really that's what the Church Mental Health Summit is all about. It's bringing in, we've curated a lot of amazing speakers. Jeremy, you're one of them. And to talk about resources, strategies, tools, offering hope and encouragement and insights into this area of faith and mental health. And I'm really excited that we are able to do it again this year.
Yeah. So I know that for those that aren't sure when or how much it's going to be, conferences sometimes can get a little pricey. You need a place to stay, which a lot of that's just kind of not a concern. When is the conference going to be? How much is it going to cost?
Yes, all the details. Okay, so we are airing the summit on September 10th.
Mhm.
That is a Friday, and it is live for free. So if anyone is interested in accessing some of these resources and you're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so much money. No, it's absolutely free to register for that day. Now, if you're busy that day or there's too many speakers that you can fit into one day, then you can purchase an access pass. And I believe, Jeremy, you're going to link to that in the notes or in the post. And you can click that link and get your access pass for $69. And so that is like $1.50, not even $1.50, maybe $1.20 per speaker, per talk. And so I really think we wanted to keep this accessible. That is the one thing that I heard over and over and over again is thank you for making this virtual. Thank you for making this free, because it is really hard to access this type of information globally, or maybe in rural areas where you don't have a lot of resources or services locally. So we wanted to make this barrier free. And so people are looking at the 45, 50 talks and, how do I fit that in the day? What's the schedule? Again, that's the best part of this, is that all the talks are pre-recorded. And so it's kind of like Netflix, where on the 10th, you just log in, you find a talk, you click, and then you're able to view and watch it. There's no schedule, there's no time zone issues, and there's no cost. And so this is really making good information and encouragement and resources accessible to everyone.
Very cool. So for those, I know that there's going to be a couple of different audiences with it. I'll speak to the church leaders portion of it, because I know part of churchmentalhealth.com talks about professionals, but then also church leaders. How do you hope this website or this conference impacts church leaders specifically?
It would be amazing if we can just start having the conversation that it's okay to not be okay. We don't have to project that everything is perfect, and struggling is part of humanity. And when I believe that the church is a place where the church is an expert, and in a place where people can belong, can find purpose, and can find hope. And when you talk about struggles or how you've overcome them, or you give people a safe place to find healing and hope and freedom, then you really become a place where people feel that they belong, they have purpose and a mission to work towards, and they have hope, because if they have overcome, then I could overcome. And so I hope that this summit is a catalyst for starting and having those conversations in our churches and our communities.
Very cool. I will say that I think I was a part of a couple of different web conferences, especially just because of COVID happening. I think the thing that I liked most for what you had set up was things just ran so smoothly. Like this is just me, right? Wasn't pre-discussed to have this conversation, but a couple of them were like, well, it sort of works, but I'm not sure how to log in. And really some of the things just weren't even set up, even though they were advertised a certain way. And then others, the communication was there, but it wasn't like a dialogue was able to happen. I know that you had the comments last year. And for me, the best thing that came out of it was having those conversations with people. A couple individuals left comments, and so I replied to them as the thing was happening. I was watching it as it was going on and responding to those comments. And a couple of people actually followed up and had conversations as well. One person wrote back and wanted to do some kind of, two people wrote back and wanted to do a conversation project for their church or their ministry organization. So I think for me, the videos I watched was cool, but it was the after the fact conversations that really probably helped the most, whether it was them responding to my stuff or me engaging with the other presenters at the same time. So I think that my suggestion would be for those watching, especially if you watch mine, let me know what you think, what questions or what you disagree with, because I was able to have live conversations with that. So highly encourage you to do that, and I do the same thing. But for you, what would you say, having done this once already and seen all the different interactions and going into a web conference, which, let's be honest, I could give two hoots about another web conference, but knowing that this one is not like the other web conferences, what tips would you give for someone that wants to get the most out of this, whether live or after the fact?
Yeah, well, definitely pace yourself, because there's a lot of really good content out there. And so looking at when, what your availability is, pacing yourself in watching a video and then doing some self-care, stretch, get up, get some fresh air, because you can feel some overwhelm by going video after video after video. And these videos are pre-recorded. And so there's some pros and cons to that. But the pros are definitely that you're able to chat with the speakers or chat with other people while it's going on.
Mhm.
Because we are opening it up and it's kind of an on-demand style this year, we are having more of the chat and conversation in the Church Mental Health Facebook group.
Mhm.
And many of the speakers are a part of that group. I've encouraged them to join in, so to continuing on with that conversation. So pacing yourself, engaging in the chat and the conversations with other people in the Facebook group, or right there on the Summit, software. And then another thing is look around on the site. So on the talk page, you're going to see the description of the talk, but there's also going to be a lot of people put freebies and giveaways, and those are the speakers' tools and resources that they are giving away for free. And I am pretty amazed at some of them and what they are. So, flying through it and just clicking, check out the page a little bit about the speakers, because they have a lot of amazing resources. So I guess those are my top tips. Pace yourself, do a lot of self-care during it, connect and communicate with the speakers or in the Facebook group, check out their freebie. And then I would say, if it's all so much, grab that access pass. And then you are able to use that access pass if you're a ministry leader in your church.
Mhm.
You can use that for onboarding, volunteers or staff retreat or, training. We really want to get this information out there.
Perfect. I love it. I think also just like even volunteers, just to be able to let them know, hey, something like this resource happens. I will say when I was doing youth ministry before, there was a youth ministry that talked about how to handle students that were struggling with suicide, and then a different conversation. This is like 6, 8 years ago. So this was like revolutionary stuff. It wasn't what the is available now. But then also talking about in general like depression, anxiety, and how to communicate well with parents. It was always in a parental interaction.
Mm.
And so every single time me and my volunteers got together once a month, I just played. It was like 8 minutes, like playing 8 minute video clip, just all watched it together and said, if you guys have questions, let me know. And then we went into whatever the next thing was. And it was just like this constant reminder. It didn't have to be this like, let's sit down for 3, 4 hours and talk about all this stuff, but it could be like these quick hitting things that can help. So yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, all the speakers are really encouraged to have practical, actionable talks that are between 15 and 25 minutes. And so they are power packed. They are, and they should, they're not like 1 hour sessions. They're
Yeah.
quick and action packed.
I never seem to hit the 15-minute mark for some reason.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anything else you would say before ending the interview?
No, if you are looking for more information, definitely click the link that Jeremy has in this post. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me at hopemadestrong.org.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you.